Have you ever shared an idea that you truly believed was profound? Something that felt like it could change everything, only to be met with silence, confusion, or even hostility? Maybe you've been called too intense, overanalyzing, or intimidating, just because you think deeply about life, meaning, or truth. If that sounds familiar, I'll tell you right now, you're not alone. In fact, these reactions say more about society than they do about you. No one's going to tell you this, but throughout history, people who think differently have always been met with fear and resistance. It's not just about challenging the status quo, it's something deeper in the human psyche. Today, I'm going to give you the straight-up facts on why intelligence and deep thinking trigger fear and rejection, and more importantly, how you can navigate it. No BS, just the truth. Have you ever felt insecure around someone smarter? Psychologists call this upward social comparison, a survival instinct gone sideways. We constantly measure ourselves against others, and when someone seems intellectually superior, it can feel like a threat to our self-worth. Theodore Roosevelt once said, "Comparison is the thief of joy." Imagine scrolling through social media and seeing someone's brilliant ideas. What should be inspiration often turns into anxiety or envy. Leon Festinger's social comparison theory explains this. We defend our egos by dismissing what we don't understand. It's easier to mock than to confront feelings of inadequacy. Ever been called too intense for asking deep questions? That's not about you. It's about their fear of confronting their own limitations. This isn't just jealousy. It's cognitive dissonance. If they're right, maybe I'm wrong. And the brain hates that conflict. Festinger put it bluntly. A person will reject others if their abilities differ too much from their own. Intelligence gaps trigger panic, not curiosity. Think about how society labels deep thinkers as awkward or arrogant. These labels are defense mechanisms, ways to neutralize the discomfort of feeling outmatched. Even Socrates faced this. His students loved him, but Athenian leaders saw his wisdom as dangerous, so they silenced him. But here's the twist. This resistance isn't personal. It's a biological and psychological reflex, and understanding it is the first step to rising above it. Your brain is wired to protect you, but sometimes it overreacts to ideas the same way it would to a physical threat. When someone says something that contradicts your beliefs, your amygdala, the brain's alarm system, can activate just like it would for danger. Frank Zappa once said, "The mind is like a parachute. It only works when open." This is why debates often feel like fights. Your body literally responds to challenging ideas as if they were attacks. Cognitive dissonance is that mental discomfort you feel when new information clashes with what you already believe. It's why we instinctively reject facts that make us uncomfortable. Our brains prefer consistency over truth. Studies show the smarter someone is, the better they are at rationalizing away uncomfortable facts. Intelligence doesn't make us immune to bias. Mark Twain put it well. It ain't what you don't know that gets you into trouble. It's what you know for sure that just ain't so. This explains why groundbreaking ideas often face resistance. From Galileo's astronomy to Darwin's evolution, new truths threaten old certainties. Your brain would rather call someone crazy than admit your worldview might be incomplete. It's a survival shortcut gone wrong. This isn't about logic. fMRI scans show that ideological debates activate the same brain regions as physical threats. But here's the good news. Knowing this reaction exists is the first step to overcoming it, in ourselves and others. Existentialism tells us an uncomfortable truth. The deeper you think, the lonelier it can feel, but also more authentic. Jean-Paul Sartre famously said, "Man is condemned to be free," meaning we're responsible for creating our own meaning in a silent universe. Most people live on autopilot, following social scripts about success, morality, and purpose without questioning them. But when you start asking why about money, relationships, even existence itself, you step outside that comfortable herd mentality. Kierkegaard called this the dizziness of freedom, that terrifying thrill when you realize no one can give you answers but yourself. This explains why deep thinkers unsettle people. They're living reminders that the rules we follow might be imaginary. Albert Camus took this further. He said the only real philosophical question is whether to keep living once you see life's absurdity. Existentialism isn't depressing, it's liberating. If nothing matters inherently, you get to decide what matters. This is why society resists deep thinkers. They expose the uncomfortable truth that most shoulds are choices, not laws. Nietzsche warned, "Whoever fights monsters should see to it that he does not become a monster." Deep thinking requires courage and self-awareness. The existential paradox? The more you seek truth, the more isolated you may feel, but also more truly alive. As Kafka put it, paths are made by walking. There's no map for meaning, just the footprints you leave behind. If society often misunderstands deep thinkers, how can we navigate this while staying true to ourselves? First, recognize that resistance often says more about others' insecurities than your worth. Seek your tribe, even online. As Schopenhauer said, talent hits a target no one else can hit. Genius hits a target no one else can see. Quality beats quantity. One meaningful conversation fuels the soul more than 100 superficial ones. When sharing ideas, lead with curiosity. What if we consider works better than "you're wrong because"? Protect your thinking time like the treasure it is. Society will always demand your attention elsewhere. Develop intellectual empathy. Package profound ideas in accessible ways without diluting them. Remember, even Einstein had only a few peers who truly understood him early on, and that was enough. When feeling isolated, turn to books. The best minds across history become your conversation partners. Channel frustration into creation. Write, paint, code, or build what others aren't ready to hear. Find balance. Occasional solitude fuels depth, but total isolation breeds despair. Spot the quiet, deep ones in crowds. They're often hiding in plain sight, waiting for real connection. Reframe rejection as filtering. It saves you from relationships that would starve your mind. The world needs unconventional thinkers. Problems can't be solved with the same thinking that created them. And when in doubt, remember, every societal advance began with someone brave enough to think differently and endure the silence until others caught up. In this section, we delve deeper into Schopenhauer's thoughts on the isolation that comes with deep thinking. Schopenhauer believed that true genius is always at odds with the crowd. He thought that the more you uncover the nature of existence, the more removed you become from ordinary people. Genius is often misunderstood because it challenges conventional wisdom, making others feel uncomfortable and inadequate. This loneliness isn't a punishment. It's a necessary condition for original thought. Schopenhauer famously said, "The majority of people are so caught up in the mundane details of life that they lack the ability to recognize something profound when they encounter it." Deep thinkers are often like lone wolves, wandering through a world that doesn't understand their path but ultimately changing it for the better. Let's talk about the social mechanisms at play when people reject profound thinkers. It's not just personal insecurity, but a collective fear of truth. People often avoid deep truths because they disrupt comfort and routine. What happens when someone exposes the uncomfortable truths about life, power, or society? We see this resistance throughout history, from Galileo's persecution to the rejection of Darwin's theory of evolution. The truth is disruptive. It asks people to re-examine everything they think they know. The fear of truth, however, is also a catalyst for change. Schopenhauer's warning about the danger of truth brings us to the realization that the thinkers who shape the world often do so in silence, forced to fight for their ideas in a world that resists them. Nietzsche's concept of the Übermensch, the overman or superman, can also play a role in the narrative. The Übermensch represents the individual who transcends conventional moralities and societal expectations, creating their own values. The silent strength of the Übermensch lies in their ability to think independently, unbound by the opinions of others. In this section, we would explore how the Übermensch metaphorically represents a thinker who must endure societal rejection and misunderstanding, yet continues on their path regardless of the noise. This type of thinker embodies Schopenhauer's concept of intellectual solitude, but with a deeper sense of purpose and determination. Nietzsche wasn't just calling for rebellion against the status quo, he was calling for the strength to endure isolation while still progressing toward personal and societal transformation. Fast forward to today, and many modern thought leaders, innovators, and creators experience the same rejection as historical figures like Socrates and Galileo. In this section, we would explore how silence remains a powerful tool in the hands of today's intellectuals. Think of Elon Musk, who often makes headlines for saying little but doing extraordinary things. Or philosophers like Alain de Botton, who rarely respond directly to critics but continue to shape public thought through their writings and ideas. These individuals embody the quiet strength Schopenhauer speaks of, leading through action rather than the noise of constant debate. The essence of their power lies in the fact that they've learned to filter out the distractions, focusing their energy on the work that needs to be done, not the battles that might ensue. For those who identify with Schopenhauer's description of the lonely genius, this section could be a guide on how to embrace your intellectual solitude rather than feel burdened by it. Embracing solitude doesn't mean you're rejecting others. It means you're choosing to preserve your mental energy for your creative and intellectual pursuits. Embrace silence not as loneliness, but as a sanctuary where your best ideas can thrive. Channel frustration into creation. Write, paint, code, or build what others aren't ready to hear. Find balance. Occasional solitude fuels depth, but total isolation breeds despair. Spot the quiet, deep ones in crowds. They're often hiding in plain sight, waiting for real connection. Reframe rejection as filtering. It saves you from relationships that would starve your mind. The world needs unconventional thinkers. Problems can't be solved with the same thinking that created them. And when in doubt, remember, every societal advance began with someone brave enough to think differently and endure the silence until others caught up. Even the most brilliant minds often went unrecognized in their time, so your impact might be bigger than you think. History isn't made by those who blend in, but by those who dare to disrupt. Learn to sit with discomfort. It often means you're growing into a version of yourself that the old world wasn't built for. Use rejection as redirection toward higher purpose, deeper alignment, and your real audience. Treat your mind like sacred ground. Not everyone deserves access. If you ever feel lost, that's not a flaw. It's a sign you're in uncharted territory where maps haven't been drawn yet. Celebrate being misunderstood. It means you're saying something original. And above all, stay rooted in your values. They'll keep you steady when the world trembles. His concept of the will and how it drives human behavior has been foundational in understanding human motivation. His influence is evident in existential psychology, especially in the work of psychologists like Viktor Frankl, who also explored the idea of finding meaning through suffering. Schopenhauer's ideas resonate in today's understanding of mental resilience and how individuals can use solitude and introspection to achieve a deeper understanding of themselves. Schopenhauer didn't just understand solitude, he weaponized it. He believed that truth wasn't democratic. It didn't need to be popular to be real. His work laid the foundation for existentialist thought, later echoed by Nietzsche, Freud, and Jung. Freud took Schopenhauer's ideas on unconscious will and built psychoanalysis around it. Jung expanded that will into archetypes and shadow work, inner forces few dare to confront. Even Viktor Frankl's search for meaning echoes Schopenhauer's belief that suffering births insight. Today, psychology still wrestles with the truths he named. That much of our behavior is driven by blind impulses and fear of pain. In a world obsessed with productivity, Schopenhauer dared to say that contemplation, not action, was where life's meaning unfolded. He didn't want us to escape suffering. He wanted us to see through it. He taught that those who embrace the void discover a kind of freedom unavailable to the distracted. His philosophy isn't just for academics. It's for anyone who's ever felt too deep for shallow waters. And in a time of endless noise, Schopenhauer's silence still echoes with relevance. He reminds us that thought is resistance, and solitude is not exile. It's elevation. The more you think differently, the more you will face resistance. But instead of seeing this as a negative, recognize it as a sign that you're challenging the boundaries of thought. Rejection can actually fuel personal growth, helping you clarify your ideas and refine your arguments. The greatest thinkers were often the most misunderstood, And it's this very misunderstanding that forced them to solidify their ideas and sharpen their arguments. Thinking deeply in a world that often prefers simplicity isn't a flaw. It's a rare superpower. The next time you feel misunderstood, remember, every revolutionary idea was once called too much, until it changed everything. If this resonated with you, let's keep the conversation going. Drop a comment below. When have you felt isolated for thinking differently? And if you want more unapologetically deep dives, hit subscribe. Your perspective is exactly what this world needs.